Good afternoon and welcome to News 24's studio in Auckland Park in Johannesburg, where we've just received again today was one of those tumultuous days where the Constitutional Court has delivered a judgment which will surely have far-reaching consequences for our democracy. My name is Pieter, I'm News 24's assistant editor for in-depth news, and I'm joined by our legal reporter, Jeanette Chabalala, who was at court this morning. Jeanette, quite dramatic, the scenes at court.
It was amazing. I mean, we've been waiting for this ruling since it was heard in February, and eventually today, we heard Shaun Abrahams has to vacate his office. Justice Mxolisi Nxasana was very, oh my goodness, that judgment, I was like, this is such a brilliant judgment, because he said that Nxasana, by him receiving the money, it was unconstitutional, and we know now that even Shaun Abrahams, being in that position, that was still unconstitutional. Whether he knew about the money or not, it was unconstitutional. So now our president has 90 days to actually appoint a new NDPP. So let's see, who do you think is going to be appointed?
It's a good question. I think the name of Vusi Pikoli, the former National Director of Public Prosecutions, is being bandied about. He was, of course, he knows everything about the independence and the importance of the independence of the National Director of Public Prosecutions.
Yeah.
He, of course, was forced out of office after a commission of inquiry in 2008.
Okay.
And I think someone like that, with his gravitas, with his experience, would be such a boon. But Jeanette, let's unpack this judgment quickly for our viewers so that they can understand it. The court was asked to rule on a judgment earlier by the High Court in Pretoria, which found to confirm that Nxasana, the golden handshake that he got, was illegal and unconstitutional, and that Abrahams' subsequent appointment was illegal and constitutional. That was held up by the court, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was definitely. And one thing about the court is that they want Nxasana to actually pay back the money. But now he's not going to be reinstated. I mean, what does this mean for him? What is he going to do? I know that he was in court today. I mean, he heard everything. And yeah, what does this mean? He has to pay back the money. I hope he still has the money.
Well, he did say he lost. On television, he did say that he lost. He was the biggest loser today because not only is he not getting back his job, he needs to pay back the money. But the court was pretty clear, Jeanette, and you were there and you've been following this case from the very beginning, about the importance of stability at the National Prosecuting Authority. The judge started out his judgment by referring to instability at the NPA, by saying that they've been engulfed in controversy since 2007. Why did the court make such a big issue about stability at the NPA?
Well, we know that when President Jacob Zuma actually, appointed Shaun Abrahams, for him it was a conflict. They believed that it was politically conflicted and stuff. And I like what Justice Matlanga said today. He said that he believed that it was an abuse of power. What Zuma did was an abuse of power, and he wanted to get rid of Nxasana by all means possible.
Which is scathing criticism by the court on former President Zuma. Not the first time that the court has come out in such a manner, all guns blazing, against President Jacob Zuma.
I feel like this judgment, it was just revolving around Zuma and whatever he did in the past, and how, he said, at first he said that an inquiry has to be, done into Nxasana's fitness to hold office, and then it was mediation. How did the judge say it again? It was first a stick, then a carrot, a stick once more, and eventually a carrot.
These Constitutional Court judgments are wonderful to read, and if you haven't read it for yourself, go and find it and read it. Jeanette, so the court found that Nxasana's golden handshake was unconstitutional and invalid because there was interference by the president, and it compromised the independence of the National Director of Public Prosecutions. Flowing from that, the second question that the court had to answer was, is Abrahams' appointment therefore also invalid? Now, Abrahams, of course, argued earlier that it doesn't matter what happened before I came into the office. My appointment was proper and valid. Why did the judge not agree with him?
But whether he knew or not, the way that our former president did it, it was not correct. The way he just, gave Nxasana the golden handshake, it was not proper. It was not fit and proper. It was unconstitutional. It was invalid. So whether he knew or not, the process beforehand, it shouldn't have been done. Yes.
So that in effect meant that doesn't matter what Abrahams argued, it was invalid. It actually was illegal and did not count for anything.
Exactly.
Now, the net effect of this is that Nxasana is not going back to his office. There
No,
was
he's
a.
not.
Tell us about the
But
minority judgment,
yes,
Jeanette.
the
That was interesting.
The minority judgment says that they believe that he should go back to office, you know. But then it doesn't hold water.
Yeah. So,
If,
so as far as I understand, the minority judgment said there's no there's no extraordinary circumstances which should determine that Nxasana should go back. They argue that he, by virtue of the court's judgment, he should be offered his position back. But the majority judgment obviously
Said no.
did not agree with that.
No, let it not be like that. And you know, what's happening now in the NPA, it's very saddening because, you know, you remember Jiba, what's happening with her now and her colleague Lawrence Mkhwebi, and then now Shaun Abrahams has to vacate office. I mean, the office is just a mess. Yeah.
Do we have any idea who will be acting National Director
Not
of Public
yet.
Prosecutions?
Not yet. We have no idea.
And Jeanette, the court has also now ordered the president within 90 days, like you said earlier, to make a new appointment.
Yeah, but you suggested Vusi Pikoli, right?
Well, I think Vusi Pikoli is a name that is been bandied about. Now
But don't we have more people in South Africa who can actually be NDPPs?
That's a very good question, and I'm sure there are. There are a number of names have been raised in this regard, but Vusi Pikoli is someone, given the court's very strong utterances around the independence of the NDPP, he understands the importance of that because he was the victim of interference and he resisted it. Now, he was the victim of if we can recall what happened in 2008, of a parliamentary inquiry, which is a politically driven process as well. So Vusi Pikoli is certainly someone that understands the importance, but also Willie Hofmeyer, who comes from, he's got a very strong legal background. He's been the Deputy National Director of Public Prosecutions for many years. But another question, I think, Jeanette, which is interesting, is how will this affect the rest of the NPA? Will this lead to a cleanup? You mentioned Nomkobo Jiba, you mentioned Lawrence Mkhwebi. Do you think there's still some action that we're going to see in that area?
You mean the cleaning up?
Yes.
Well, with Jiba, we have to wait for the president to decide if, you know, he'll be instituting the inquiry into, you know, fitness to hold office, because on Friday she submitted, she made submissions on why she should not be suspended. So let's wait there. But I believe that, you know, the president now, he can make a decision on who should be the best person to. This is an important institution.
But I'm wondering, Jeanette, whether or not the president can afford not to clean out the whole top structure of the NPA. Given Mkhwebi and Jiba's history, if he's going to appoint a new person, I mean, surely he would not want that person to be undermined by people who are known associates of the former president, who have been known to undermine the national director in Nxasana. So I wonder if it might not be worth his while to clean out the place in its totality.
Well, that's a good question. Let's wait and see what the president has to do. And he has to clean out SARS as well. Okay, I don't want to talk about SARS and stuff like that, but I just believe that whatever he's going to do now, whoever he's going to appoint, it has to be someone with credibility, someone we are going to trust, someone who is not affected in any way, someone who is not politically, what's the word?
Compromised.
Yes, compromised. So yeah, that's what I believe.
And just for our viewers, and a last question, what can Shaun Abrahams do? Is this now the end of the road for him, or can he still appeal to another court?
He can appeal. This is the constitutional court, the highest court in the land. So he can appeal.
So in theory, he needs to vacate his office as soon as possible.
South Africans, we are going to have a new NDPP.
Thank you very much, Jeanette.
Thank you so much, Pieter.
Jeanette Chabalala is our News 24's legal writer. Follow News 24 for more comment and analysis and information about who might be the acting NDPP or who might be the new NDPP throughout the whole of the afternoon.